All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. My name is Alex, and today we are talking about some Wild Hearts. Now, I've been putting this video off for a little bit because I wasn't sure whether or not we were going to hear more about, upcoming updates, new Kemono, new missions, stuff like that. And even though I absolutely love this game, I've got about 700 hours in the game, maybe not quite. I'm getting there though. I've beat all the Kemonos, I got all the gear, I've beaten everything in the game. I've done pretty much everything you can do in the game multiple times over. But with that being said, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that these guys sorta dropped the ball a little bit. And if I had to put an actual number on it, I would probably say that there's 3 things that they did wrong. One is kind of out of their control. The other 2 is absolutely on these guys. And hands down, one of the biggest mistakes they made was releasing the game way too close to all of these Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak updates, dude. Rise had the Title 4 update on February 7th. Wild Hearts released a week later, and you got to play it even earlier than that if you had the early access. And then Monster Hunter also just recently had Title Update 5 the day before the last Deep Volatile release inside of Wild Hearts. Now, I know that this is something completely out of their control, and it seems almost kind of unfair to compare these guys to Monster Hunter, but they are in direct competition with Monster Hunter, no matter what anybody says. I would also bet money that 9 out of 10 people who are playing Wild Hearts came from Monster Hunter at some point in time. And if you're going to release a Monster Hunter type game, while Monster Hunter is still releasing content, while they're still doing title updates, it's pretty important that your game launches in a really good state. And if you want to pull people from Monster Hunter, get them to spend $70 on your game, you got to make sure that your game is polished, dude. And I think that was one of the biggest issues with the game. And that goes right into the next point. The game's performance at launch was pretty bad. The launch window is probably the most important window in a game's life cycle, especially when your game is a brand new IP, and it's also $70, and there's also alternative games, i.e. Monster Hunter, to play. So even though they have been improving the performance since launch, I do think the damage may already be done. And unless the game goes on sale for like 75% off, I don't think many people are going to start buying the game. And that is a little rough to take in right now because on Steam at the moment, there's about 400 people playing Wild Hearts. But if you take a look at something like Monster Hunter World, they've got about 10,000 people playing. You take a look at Rise, they got about 16,000. And this is just on the PC side. PC is usually like the smallest demographic of players, or about 1/3, a little bit less than 1/3. And another thing to actually think about is that this game is published by EA. Now, that doesn't mean that they can, just shut down Koei Tecmo games if the game doesn't sell well. But as far as, things like support, funding, stuff like that, who knows how it's going to affect the game in the future, because I do not think the game sold well. It is kind of hard to find actual numbers at this point in time. But just looking at the player count, listening to word of mouth, I don't think this game sold very well. And the fact that we had that entire launch window, like all the updates we were planning to get, the Mirakumo, the Lava Back, we had the Gloombeak, we had the brand new Spinning Top Karakuri, we also had the Grimstalker, and we knew about all of those guys pretty much the first week or two the game released. We knew we had all of that content coming, but I think that was kind of like a test window to see how successful it would be, and I don't think it did as well as they were hoping for. No one was really talking about it. No big streamers, no big gaming networks were really covering the brand new updates. And honestly, I think the game just didn't perform as well as they were hoping. And it absolutely kind of sucks because this game is super fun to play, dude. It does have its flaws, and that's actually going to lead right into the last point. And that is that even though this game is fun, the end game loop for this game is absolutely terrible. It's got better since release, but it's still pretty bad. And if I had to describe the actual gear system at the end of the game, I would say it's more, it's wide and shallow, if that makes sense. Like, there's a lot of skills, there's a lot of weapons you can craft, there's a lot of armor you can craft, there's a whole bunch of talismans that are, just super random drops. And even though we do have a lot of stuff to grind for, like 90% of all the armor, all the weapons, all the talismans, all the skills, they're all kind of bad. And when I say bad, they're just too weak compared to the obvious choices, something like desperation, something like Verve, one scroll critical. If you're taking, human path, you're going for certain skills. If you're going for Kemono path, you're taking certain skills. And that pretty much leaves all the other skills just sitting there, not getting used, because if we're being honest, they're all fairly bad. Now, unless you're like me and you like to try to make super quirky builds, try to make them work, then you got some options. But even someone like me, I kind of struggle to make quirky builds in this game because some of these skills are just terrible, dude. Like, they don't make any sense and they're way too weak. And then when it comes down to testing out builds, building out new weapons, everything is way too expensive. The gold grind in this game is absolutely insane. You need gold for everything. And while I do think that is okay, there's no really good way to actually farm gold. So you'll spend, an entire day or two farming out gold, testing out weapon builds, only to find out that they're absolutely terrible. Then you need to spend gold to break down those weapons to get your resources back, to go grind more gold, to try out more builds. And it's absolutely it's a pretty vicious cycle. I'm not gonna lie. I spent way too many days in this game grinding out gold. And I hate to keep making a comparison, but if you're coming from a series like Monster Hunter, you're used to having a fairly decent end game because, the game's been out for like a couple decades now. They know what they're doing. They know what works. They know they try things out every now and again. But for the most part, the end game is usually pretty solid. And if you're developing Wild Hearts, 9 times out of 10, they're probably Monster Hunter fans as well. So they know what works. Yank that stuff right out of Monster Hunter, tweak it, make it fit into your own game, add some spice to it. There's legit like 2 decades worth of Monster Hunter to pull from. And there's absolutely no shame in taking things from other games. That's just how it works. Now, do I think the game is absolutely dead in the water? I do not think so, not quite yet. I think it's still a little bit too early to tell. But I will say, if they're going to keep supporting the game, I am a little bit worried about the support that it's actually going to get as far as community-wise. And specifically, I mean the mainstream coverage, because the game came out, there was a little bit of talk about it, the performance was a big hit, and then everybody kind of forgot the game existed and went on about their day, besides just the little pocket communities on YouTube that are still playing the game. So if they can hammer out all of these performance issues on PC and console, if they could put the game on a really good sale, when I'm talking about like 60 to like 75% off, I guarantee you people will pick it up. And if they could get the actual end game situation straightened out, and I'm going to make a separate video on that because there's a lot I got to say about the end game. But if they can get that ironed out, man, I think the game has a chance, dude. Now, don't get it twisted because I still like this game. I think it is super fun, and I think everybody should absolutely try this game, at least the story mode and a little bit of the end game. But like I said, man, they got to put this game on sale. They got to make people want to play this game because at its core, this game is pretty unique. It is pretty dope, and I wish more people actually enjoyed it. But, performance, price, all this stuff does factor into people buying games nowadays. So let me know in the comments if you're still playing the game. If you're not playing the game, why did you quit? And what other issues you think are holding this game back? Because while I do still play the game every other day, not every day like I used to, I've definitely been wanting to play it less and less. So yeah, man, that's all I got for you guys today, man. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that shenanigans down below. And if you want to watch a full playthrough of Jedi Survivor, it's up on the channel right now. That game is pretty dope, not gonna lie. And yeah, that's all I got. Shall catch you guys in the next one. Peace.